Appalachian Trail in the United States is one of the world's most famous hiking trails, spanning more than 2,000 miles and crossing 14 states. Geologists discovered it was once part of an ancient mountain range stretching all the way from America to Europe. And so in recent years, new chapters of the International Trail were created, including our very own one here in Ulster. I'm Lolly Spence, a tour guide and Ulster Scots historian.
And I'm Mark Thompson, born and bred in the Ards. In this series, we'll be exploring the 300-mile route across 4 counties, passing through some of the most picturesque locations in Ulster. For centuries, thousands of people left these shores to travel to the wild landscapes of the American Appalachians. They became known as the Scotch-Irish.
The people we meet in this journey will help us explore our enduring links with the Appalachian region, as well as our own Ulster Scots language and heritage. Join us as we go walking Hame. Since we began walking the Ulster leg of the International Appalachian Trail, we've covered more than 190 miles. From Larne on the east coast of Antrim, all the way to the Sperrin Mountains in County Londonderry.
In this episode, we're on the final stretch of our journey, which kicks off at Gortin Glen Forest Park in the Tyrone section of the Sperrins.
Beautiful County Tyrone.
Yeah, we're right in the heart of Mid-Ulster now, aren't we?
Yeah, when people think of glens, they automatically think of the Antrim glens. But there are glens here in the Sperrins too.
Yeah, and they're covered in this gorgeous purple heather. It's almost like a Scottish landscape.
Yeah, Gortin Glen is looking pretty good today.
You know, so far on our trail, we have been very much within sight of Scotland and the Isles and the sea. Now we're very much deep in the heart of the countryside with no reference to the sea. This is a different landscape.
But the place names, you can trace that migration too, because there are 2 hills in the Sperrins called Mary Grey and Bessie Bell. And you can find 2 hills of those names in southwest Scotland and also in Appalachia. Because as the people travelled, they took those place names with them to remind them of where they'd come from.
And I love that. You know, whenever we were on the Antrim coast, we were talking about how Scottish settlers could see home. You know, they could look across the sea and see the Highlands and the Isles. Here, they can't see home, so it's probably more important for them to bring things with them, like their place names and their music and their faith and their folklore, their traditions, just to feel a sense of connectedness to their own identity in a new home.
I'm making my way to the Ulster American Folk Park in Omagh, an open-air museum exploring the history of Ulster emigration, to learn more about one of our strongest links with Appalachia. For centuries, musical influences have passed back and forth between the 2 regions. Many of those connections are celebrated here at the annual Bluegrass Festival, now in its 30th year. Ivan Muirhead has been playing here with his broken string band since the early days of the festival.
So those 2 early sounds that were exported from here were that fiery fiddle on a Saturday night, but also the vocal harmonies in a church on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, well, the bluegrass is, you know, a lot of gospel. A lot of the vocal harmonies, people couldn't afford instruments. As you say, the fiddle went across, and they had that sort of drone and the old-timey stuff. Different cultures brought different instruments with them, you know. The banjo come in, but everybody had the ear that they would meld together, that they sounded well. And it's all they had. basically. It was all they had. I mean, if you had a piano, it was an orchestra, you know, but a simple guitar, especially the fiddle has a lot to answer for. From the Ulster Scottish side of things, even bagpipes had the drone and give the feel of the music. As the banjo has the drone string and the G string, it sort of emulates that sound. But in a later time, Leinster Flat and Earl Scruggs, you know, that was my type of bluegrass. That's what I listened to and learned a lot from. Was it always the energy that they had behind it, the simple lyrics which told a good story as well, and the standard musicianship was top class. It was all very homegrown there as well, and you could see the influences from here that had went over, and then obviously it was exported from there back over to here again as bluegrass. And great times, must say, great times.
It's been a long time driving.
Duo Vivian Leva and Riley Calcagno have travelled to the festival from their home in North Carolina.
If you felt the weight of the world.
Having both grown up in the Appalachian string band tradition, they're performing here for the first time.
You just pull me back home.
Well, the style is no longer regional. It's not confined to the Appalachian Mountains where it was born. It's become national right across the United States, but also international on this side of the Atlantic as well. What do you guys think from your side of the water about the connection here? Does it make sense? Is it meaningful?
You know, we got a lot of these traditions and these customs of, you know, playing music with people from y'all over here.
So like the fiddle tunes in the southeast of the United States, which a lot of people from around here came and migrated there and settled and brought the fiddle with them.
It just seems to make sense here. It feels kind of full circle in a way, back in one of the places that the melodies and the rhythms came from.
There goes the wedding ring to the bottom of the glass. Yes, there goes my wedding ring to the bottom of the glass.
Many people have grown up coming to this popular festival, including Ballymoney-born Tabitha Agnew Benedict, who was just 12 when she took up the banjo. Now an international bluegrass artist, she's performing here with her brothers and husband in their band Cup of Joe.
We talk a lot about the connections between Ulster and America, and the International Appalachian Trail now does that geologically. But you personify the connection.
Yeah, I've recently married an American, so we're living over in South Carolina in the US, so I guess you could say I have kind of the best of both worlds, being from here and living over there now. It's amazing just to see the connections and how similar things are in the culture with people and backgrounds, and I think that I notice a lot of that even with the landscape as well.
People in the parking lot.
And the sounds, of course, travelled from here to there and come back and forward as well.
Yeah, they do. You know, I hear a lot of the same tunes as I hear over there, but they're often sometimes called different things, or there's different twists on them, which a lot of time in bluegrass, if you're singing, you know, for example, like murder ballads, the melody will sound very happy, whereas the words are very sad, you know, and full of remorse. But you can tell that they all kind of originated with fiddle music here, and you know, it was brought over. So it's pretty amazing to be a part of that and to get to experience that.
While Mark's in Omagh, I've been heading west into County Donegal. The trail has brought me to Lough Eske, the gateway to the Bluestack Mountains. Like other landscapes we visited, this magical place has inspired many writers over the years. Among them is the fascinating author Frances Browne, known as the blind poetess of Ulster. I'm meeting playwright Shirley Ann Godfrey, who's on a mission to champion Frances's work for a new generation. Amidst these moss-covered trees, we're on the shores of Lough Eske. What a beautiful and inspiring place, and a landscape that certainly inspired a lady you know a lot about, Frances Browne.
That's right. Yeah, she had a great love for folklore, and she recorded a lot of it in her Legends of Ulster. There's 12 or 13 of them altogether, and about half of them are set in Donegal, recording stories, life on farms and so on, and all the kind of superstitions and traditions associated with set holidays like Halloween.
Tell me a little bit more about her. When and where was she born?
She was born in 1816 on the same street as myself in Stranorlar. And she was the daughter of the first postmaster in Stranorlar. And I suppose a thing that shaped her entire life, she had smallpox when she was 18 months and was blinded as a result of it. So despite being blind, she went on to achieve incredible things as a writer. And her first book of poetry was written in Stranorlar. And when it was published in 1847, that's when she moved to Edinburgh. And that was really the start of her literary career. You know, she was in with the literary circle at the time and published widely in journals. Her biggest success was Granny's Wonderful Chair. That was her best-selling book of fairy tales. And it was translated into loads of languages and sold all over the world.
In 2021, Shirley Ann was instrumental in launching the annual Frances Browne Literary Festival to celebrate her life and work.
A highlight of it is the poetry evening, where you get to hear people sharing their creative writing that they've written either in Irish, English or Ulster Scots. We've taken "Treasure Each Voice" as the motto of our festival, and that's a line from one of Frances's poems, "Treasure Each Voice," and we feel very strongly that this sense of her cultural hybridity means that she's for everybody.
Because she herself wrote using words from all three traditions.
Exactly.
Frances Browne doesn't really fit into any particular literary genre, and maybe that's one of the reasons why she hasn't been claimed as such.
Exactly. You know, when she was writing in England, she wrote of herself as a proud Irish woman, but she also called herself an Ulster woman and a Donegal woman. Her family were Presbyterian, and the Ulster Scots speak was definitely part of her personal culture, which is very clear from the dialogue in the Legends of Ulster.
And one of those legends is actually set on this very loch.
It does indeed. One of them ends here at Lough Eske. It's called O'Donnell's Penance. And the hero, Frank, he meets a whole host of ghosts. And he gets such a fright, he runs all the way from Donegal town to Lough Eske.
So she wrote ghost stories, she wrote poetry, she wrote academic articles. She really had a variety of talents.
She did. She wrote across so many genres. So between class, religion, background, and a disability, you know, she overcame all those aspects that might have gone against her at certain times.
While Lolly's at Lough Eske, I'm taking a quick detour off the trail to visit the quiet townland of Cully in County Donegal. Well, at least I was told it was quiet. The Moyne Pipe Band have recently returned from performing in Toronto and Niagara Falls at the 200th annual 12th Parade.
Band, to the right, fall out.
I want to find out more from Pipe Major Stephen, his daughter Zoe, and drummer Adam.
Well, there are lots of places in North America called Donegal, you know, all over the Appalachian Mountains in Pennsylvania. And you've been to North America yourselves. Zoe, what was that like going to Canada with the band to represent this part of the world over there?
I liked it a lot, especially when the parade. I was very proud of all the big TV screens.
And Stephen, can you tell me a bit about the history of the band? When was it formed?
The band was originally a fife and drum band, but then it became a flute band. And in 1952, it formed then as a pipe band. So we're actually celebrating our 70th year this year as a pipe band. And I'd say the band is in a stronger position now than it has ever been, even in this area in South Donegal.
You know, taking part in things like the St. Patrick's Day parade here was a big achievement for the band. But going to Niagara Falls, I mean, how do you describe that?
Well, I suppose from my own point of view, I've been pipe major now in the band since 1994. But we went to Donegal town to St. Patrick's Day the first time in 2009. It was a fabulous experience to take, you know, our Ulster Scots culture into Donegal town and be part of the community and be really well received. And for me, you know, playing in Toronto and then playing in Niagara Falls, it was a very, very proud moment to have, you know, a little band that's celebrating 70 years in existence this year. Parading through the streets of Toronto was something, you know, that the people that came before me would have thought were mad with the idea of going. But to be there, you know, and all the young ones with us, it was just fantastic. It's a memory, you know, that will live with us forever.
Well, Adam, what's it like as a young person getting stuck into something as traditional as a pipe band?
And as Stephen's saying how well the band's been doing over these years, and we are at a high point in the band, it is an absolute honour to be a part of the band. I mean, I only joined, 3 or 4 years ago, and I've been playing a couple of different instruments, and everybody's very willing to come forward and help me in any ways possible. Like, it's really like a second family, so it is.
So it's more than music, this, isn't it? It's about family and community.
It is, you know, we do strive to have the music as good as we can get it. But like, it also has to be fun, and people has to engage and, like, you know, be part of, as you say, the community and share the culture together. It is a family band where you have 4 or 5 different families, you know, predominant members, and our families are all joining and they're in the band. It's just in them to keep the tradition going.
Well, those ancestral connections we have with Scotland, the musical connections that you demonstrate here with Scotland, I mean, Ulster Scots is something that is part of who you are here.
Ulster Scots is definitely a big part of us here. It was around 2004, I think, that the Moyne Ulster Scots Association got established, and it is a big driving force behind the pipe band here and the Highland dancing here that goes on here weekly as well, which the girls are part of. It gives us an opportunity, you know, to express our culture musically and the dancing as well. It's fantastic, you know, to have it here locally.
The next leg of the trail is a bit more challenging as the terrain changes again, linking up with the Bluestack Way, a 65-kilometre route which runs through the rugged landscapes of the Bluestack Mountains.
The trail continues west toward the coast. And for the first time while hiking this trail, the wet weather has kicked in.
Wow. This is great. Where are we?
We are in beautiful West Donegal at the Asteranka waterfall.
I mean, that is really impressive.
Isn't it amazing?
It's massive.
It's absolutely glorious.
And the sound and appearance of that is all because of this. All because it's raining. But it's going to rain at some point along this trail, isn't it? Like, realistically, this is going to happen.
It is Ireland. It's a good job we brought the waterproofs. We're getting our money's worth at long last.
And we have loads of words for rain, as you know. You know, a wee light rain is a skiff. If it goes on for a longer stretch of time, it's mizzle. If it gets really heavy, it's teeming. And the heaviest of all is a thunderplump.
It's dreich. It's dreich's the word, isn't it? But what a wonderful place for us to be in the rain with all of our senses completely enveloped. You know, the sound of the waterfall, the smell of the Atlantic and the taste of the salt on our lips. This is heaven on earth.
It is all part of the trail experience.
What a joy.
The penultimate stop on our journey is Glencolmcille. This is my first visit to one of Donegal's Irish-speaking heartlands, named after one of Ireland's 3 patron saints, Saint Columcille. The coastal town is also famed for its long history of musical talent. And who better to explain the distinctive Donegal fiddling style than the co-founder of Irish folk band Altan, Mairéad Ní Mhaonaigh.
Well, Mairéad, you are a renowned fiddle player. Tell me about the world-famous Donegal style.
Well, it's like a genre of music, you know, and it's a very strong genre because it has certain tunes and certain settings of tunes that are very, very rare, which has a bit of Scottish, a bit of Irish. So we're the halfway house between Irish traditional, you know, the long bow style and heading towards Scotland. Like Ireland and Scotland were always the same nation in a way, you know. So when people went there, they would mix with the locals and they would bring back songs and tunes. And some of the tunes were Highlands and Strathspeys, but then it's a wee bit like our accent, you know, we changed them a little bit, so it's not as they're played in Scotland. For instance, I'll play you this tune I was teaching today, and it's called Duncan Davidson. My father taught it to me. So that's Duncan Davidson, but that's a wee bit Scottish-like. And then we would get other Highlands and we'd kind of roll them a bit, so it would be kind of more like... Now that's played around here and it's named after whoever played it, but in Scotland it's known as Miss Drummond of Perth. But it's kind of rolled out a bit. It's not as Scottish as you would hear in Scotland, so the tunes changed like our accents.
Well, what is special about Glencolmcille?
Well, around here there was a fiddle in every house, and what was really amazing is they had fantastic bowing and they weren't really a common man's musician, so that's why there was a great standard of music around here at one stage. But then about 30 or 40 years ago, we realised that there was only a handful of people left playing this style of music. So we decided to set up Cargus na Vidlery, which is the Friendship of Donegal Fiddling. And it really was to encourage young people to take up the instrument again, because the natural process of giving tunes to younger people stopped. So it's all going towards localising the music, and the tunes are very to the area. It's special to this area.
Much as you love this part of Donegal, Mairéad, you have yourself travelled the Atlantic and visited Appalachia with your fiddle.
Well, I became a professional musician about 30 years ago, maybe more. And I went off with my fiddle with the band Altan, and we travelled all over America. And then we met a lot of the musicians in the Appalachian Mountains, you know, a lot of the fiddle players, you know, and people of that ilk, you know, Bruce Mulsky, he's from New York, but he plays those old tunes, and Bruce Green, and met the great Dolly Parton and Ricky Skaggs. And what we all had in common was this music. They were talking about their forefathers gave it to them, and they were saying, you're from the country our music's from. Like, they all have this tradition, which is very strong. It's the Scots-Irish tradition. Meeting those people, you feel they're like distant relatives.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We are all connected.
We are all, definitely.
We've almost completed the 280-mile trail through some of the most beautiful landscapes in Ulster, and what an adventure it's been.
Wow.
This is us looking out over Lough.
It's incredible.
Well, this really was worth the hike.
Yeah, beautiful view of the Salach breeze. There's great history, there's great storytelling and great crack.
Ollie, this is amazing. This is honestly a new discovery for me.
This trail takes people off the beaten track.
Here in the Bann, 1718, was where the Bann Valley exodus took place.
They had to cross the Atlantic to start a new life. It's hard to conceive.
There's something about writing in Ulster Scots that is bone deep, and I'm speaking the language that I really know.
This is Mairéad Ní Mhaonaigh, the sea god, surveying his watery kingdom.
I just get this immense sense of, I'm coming home now. I'm coming home.
As we take the final few steps of the trail together, we reach the last stop, Bunglas Point in South Donegal. Here, the sea cliffs rise over 600 metres, with stunning panoramic views over Slieve League. Above the roaring Atlantic Ocean, it feels like we're at the edge of the world. It's a fitting finale to our Ulster Odyssey.
The end of the road. What a scene.
We made it from shore to cliff top, from east to west, in sunshine and in showers.
And in a sense, it's not really the end of the road, because this trail continues straight across that Atlantic Ocean. And who knows, there could be folk sitting today in Newfoundland or Nova Scotia or Maine, sitting on the coast with mugs of coffee, looking this way.
Yeah, and this whole path has been about connections, really. You know, connections with the rock beneath our feet, with the Scots who made Ulster their home and sailed out west to America. Connections with nature and the landscape and the living world. And then most importantly, the connections with the people that we've met along the way. It's been such a wonderful journey.
To the trail.
To the trail.